you're a fuckface. Such a fuckface right now. VGN has a tiny penis. News alert. Drama alert. VGN has a tiny penis.
Motherfucking pencil dick over here. He thinks he's talking shit. See, anytime he comes up with a good comeback, he revels in it because he knows it doesn't happen very often.
Oh my
so
God.
he's like, he feels so proud of himself. He's like, dude, I gotta go like treat myself to pizza or something now. Actually, like, because I literally came up with a good comeback. Like, I got to treat myself to this, and then he goes and he like faps for like 2 minutes, and then he comes back with a mic again.
And
I'm like, dude, are you done jerking off to your self-image?
But by the way, I'm recording as of now, so everything we just said, I'll put as the intro. I don't give a fuck.
Awesome.
It's gonna
That's
be
awesome.
funny.
That's awesome. I provide the entertainment for everybody.
I mean,
awesome.
whenever you have, that's such a small thing to talk about. I mean, it's kind of short. It's kind of short news. Been there, done that.
Yeah, well, at least I don't need a microscope to see my shit.
Anyways, welcome to the podcast. We're going to try something different here. I'm here with, of course, Small Penis Victory Game Network and one of my subs.
And I'm here with A-Dub Loves Dick.
So we're going to be talking about just whatever we hell going to talk about for about a half hour. So.
That should be your new PlayStation name, by the way.
Anyways, shut the hell up. Anyways.
But you can't put Dick, so you'd have to put D-I-K.
I hate you some days. You're such a dick.
I try.
So I'll bring the first topic up since you probably don't want to be an asshole. Have you two heard about the whole net neutrality law? I know I brought it up to you, Victory, but
no, ma'am, I have not.
You're such an asshole.
I haven't heard much about it either. Just kind of like whispers on the wind. Really.
I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't really know anything about it.
Well, pretty much imagine having your ISP log everything you do. Everything you do and sell it to an advertiser for whatever they want to buy it for, and not tell you when they sell it to them. Imagine that. How scary that would be.
So Big Brother all over again.
Pretty much, and there'd be no law to stop it either, and they're trying to pass it right now. I actually read it in the news today. It was pretty interesting.
So
it's
literally,
like
basically, everything that you search on the internet, everything that you watch, everything is archived.
Somebody will be able to see.
Oh shit, dude, that's not good for you. That's not good for you, dude. You
I
might
knew
have to
you were
hide
gonna
some shit.
say that. Fuck off, you bastard.
You try to keep your secrets, man. You try not to come out the closet, man. You gotta hide that shit somehow.
Oh my god. For people actually watching this whole podcast thing, tell Victory to shut the hell up in that comment for me. That'd be fantastic. He's a huge douche right now. Just ignore him.
Hey, I provide the entertainment. That's what I'm here for. That's what I was put on this earth to do, is talk shit to people.
Well, you do have a fine job at that, talking a lot of shit.
Hey, you do what you're good at.
I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna leave that one alone. That's wide open. That's
that was way too open. I'm over here biting my tongue. Fuck.
That's left wide open right there. So wide open. Oh.
Just so you know, I wouldn't say that to Kyle because Kyle likes it rough. But you're safe though because you're a female. He's not into the whole female.
I hate you. Fuck off.
I literally have to sleep with one eye open whenever I'm at his place.
Told you he's a douche. Sometimes he can be a real asshole.
Yeah,
Oh god, I'll get up there. By the way, I'm playing some Zelda as we do this because I have nothing else to do right now. So.
Wait, you know how to play Zelda?
I fucking hate you. Speaking of the topic,
I must have missed the memo.
I fucking you such a dick. Fuck you. Oh my god.
Hey, just don't ever face me on Titanfall again, because I'll fucking slam you like I did last time.
Because you fucking cheated?
I didn't cheat. It's just skills. They just gotta be good at the game, man.
I'm sorry, but Kate.
Next time you come in Titanfall, you better say, "Daddy, I'm home," because motherfucker, that's my game. So.
Well, says the person who played the game for almost less than 2 weeks and is already prestige 6.
Hey,
which is
you don't have to play a lot to gain that much XP. You just have to be good. The better you do in each game, the more XP you get.
I will say that's the easiest game to get leveled up on.
That's true.
It's so
By the
easy.
way, you're wrong. I'm actually Gen 7 now as well.
Son of a bitch, you need to stop playing.
And my Legion is maxed out.
Play another game. Play another game.
Oh, it's like me with For Honor. I'm like,
Oh God, here we go. For Honor.
I love that game. I suck
Jesus.
at shooters, so it's perfect.
I'm actually wanting to get For Honor. I know when I first saw that game, it looked painfully average to me. But I've been playing it with a couple of friends, and it actually looks really, really good. I'm not even gonna lie.
It is. You know, and what's cool about it, like I said, you know, I absolutely bite at shooter games. Totally not my thing. I just, nope, never been good at it. But you get the same kind of feel as a shooter game, but it's not, you know, and you're doing the whole team thing and everything else. I don't know, I think it's a great concept.
I mean, I tried it. Not bad.
Anyway,
you know, the biggest problem with that game though is they're having so many server issues. God, it's horrible. You know, me and my buddies.
I'm not entirely sure what it is either. My guess would be that maybe it's kind of the same issue like with Pokemon Go. Maybe they weren't actually expecting so many people to be playing it online, and maybe it just kind of bogs the servers down.
The number of, you know, because I did the open and closed betas, and I mean it was packed. They should have known. I think what a lot of it comes down to, I think it's a combination of the fact that they just didn't plan ahead in general, because they were having, you know, connection issues even in the closed beta.
Right.
But then there's like this whole like other, when you're doing like, you know, hosting and everything too. I don't know. I've got Comcast, and Comcast sucks ass.
Oh God, don't go. Comcast is the
oh my
worst.
God.
I feel
Oh God.
You know, so you run in your own set of nightmares with that too, and God, and I've been playing. Let's see. Yesterday I played for about 4 hours, and I think I only got 5 good matches in where we didn't have at least one of the party kit. So it was kind of annoying.
Well, see, I would say you got lucky, actually, because I was watching a friend of mine, because we were share playing it, and he literally actually got dropped from the game midway through. He just completely got dropped for no reason at all. Yep. And a lot of the times, that's if he could even find other teammates. Like, a lot of the games he would join, it would literally, like, spawn him in by himself with no one else. And so it's like, he's even having issues, like, finding other teammates.
Yeah,
I haven't had that problem. It's just been, you know, people like mid-game just all of a sudden getting booted, and it's like, dude, where'd you go? And it's been so bad when I've gotten kicked, at least at my house, that it completely freezes up my PlayStation and everything, and I've got to hard reset it. And
now, see, normally with that kind of thing, you could say, you know, well, maybe there just isn't a lot of people playing it, but with For Honor, that's not an excuse, because there's a lot of people that play it. It's just the servers are just very poor at the moment.
And with it being an Ubisoft thing, you'd think they'd have figured out.
Oh God, Ubisoft, they're the worst for that shit.
I mean, Ubisoft is a big company, but as far as like, because I always say I like BioWare and other companies like that because they actually care for the most part compared to other developers about their consumer. I couldn't honestly really say the same about Ubisoft, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it's to each his own, but I'm just one of those people that, you know, I just don't care a whole lot for Ubisoft. There's not a whole lot of really game developers out there that I care about as far as their morals and stuff. Like, I like Rockstar. I like, obviously, BioWare. I've played every single one of their games, and I've given them a shit ton of my money. There's just not a whole lot that I care about as far as, like, what they stand for and everything. And I think one of the reasons why I like PlayStation a little bit better, not just because I grew up with PlayStation, but also, I mean, some people watch this for and give me shit, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like PlayStation is more or less for gamers, by gamers necessarily than Xbox. Xbox has always been kind of on, you know, we want to combine our PCs with our game consoles instead of just like...
And cram it all down your throat.
Yeah, because Windows 10 ruined Xbox One entirely. And I do know that...
I don't understand, like, when I first got the Xbox One, because I got that before I got the PS4.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling it. And one of the reasons for that was because, well, apart from their launch titles kind of being complete garbage in my opinion, but also because like Windows 8 was on it, and I was like, dude, why does this have to have Windows 8? This isn't a fucking PC. It's just a game console.
Yeah.
It's like the menu was way more complicated than it needed to be. All they needed to have was just a short, simple menu that has all your stuff right in front of you. You shouldn't have to click on all these different folders to open up each individual like category of things. It was stupid.
Well,
Well, uh, that's kind of in my opinion with like Microsoft stuff in general. I'll be the bad guy. They're always so
yeah.
in your face, and like everything's invasive with Microsoft.
Well, I know my Xbox One. Yeah, asked Victor about this. It collected dust so much that I almost put my name in the dust. My 360 gets played more than the Xbox One does. My PS2 gets played more than the Xbox One does. So to me, the Xbox One has, except for Sunset Overdrive, that's really it, and rare play.
I mean, it's kind of the same for me. I mean, I have the Xbox. I have all the Xboxes except the Xbox One, and I have all of the PlayStations. My PlayStation 3 and my PlayStation 4 and even my Nintendo 64 and shit get way much more traffic than anything on my Xbox stuff. There's only a select few games that I actually play on Xbox. And I'm one of those people that if I can get the same game on Xbox on PlayStation, if it isn't an exclusive, I'll get it on the PlayStation.
Yep,
and again, it's nothing, it's not really that I'm a fanboy, obviously. I have all the systems. It's just that I prefer PlayStation because I like Sony better than I do Microsoft. And one of the biggest issues I had with Xbox One, which is why I think that the PlayStation 4 has been outselling the Xbox One for so long, is that when they made the Xbox One, they tried to make it an entertainment system in one, like all these different things in one, rather than just focusing on the core aspect of it as a game console and not so much everything else.
Yeah.
Because I remember at the E3 showing of the Xbox One, they were literally like NFL Network, we've got TV, we've got this, we've got that, we've got the Kinect, which no one fucking cares about anyway. And it's like
not bad. It's
like
not the worst though. But.
And that was the whole thing with their E3 showing. And then PlayStation comes out and they're like, hey, we've got all these fucking games. This is a game console. I'm like, thank you. Show your games. Don't show me TV. If I want to watch TV shows, I'll get Netflix or, whatever, and I'll play it on the PlayStation. But when you're making the system, I want you to focus on the games as a game console, not everything else as well. I just want you to focus on the games themselves, and that's it.
Well, it's kind of like, well, I don't know. I'm older than you guys, so I remember shit that you guys don't.
Back to the NES days.
There was once the what?
Back to the good NES days.
Yeah, back in the Stone Age. Yeah, it was.
Had to go there.
Yeah, fuck you. There was, I remember when, the Atari came out from the 2600 to this, what was it, 72 or the 7400 or whatever.
I ain't touching that one.
And it was the same kind of thing where, like, fuck you.
Let her talk, you asshole.
Everybody was overwhelmed by the fact that, they were trying to outdo a system that was already completely functional. And that was in the early 80s. So I don't get how...
Right, you're talking about the bit wars and things, correct?
Yeah.
I mean when I remember, because I know what you're talking about.
It. Yeah.
See, I mean, I wasn't, obviously I'm into modern and retro games. I'm only 22, but I'm into both generations.
What a youngin'.
So anyway, when it's the whole issue with it was I remember the bit wars because it was I've heard about it and
wasn't it
obviously I'm into both.
Sega and PS2?
And I remember when the Sega came out, I mean all these different consoles were always trying to fight each other, and it's a lot like the console wars we have now between Xbox and PlayStation.
Yep.
I'm one of those people that I think it's kind of stupid. It's just play whichever preferred console you want, and that's it. I mean, you don't have to shit talk someone for liking a different console than you. Just play it, and that's it. And the thing with like the Sony and Microsoft is like stop trying to one up each other. Just focus on the games. Focus on your console.
You're good.
And exactly. And it's like stop trying to one up each other. This is stupid. I mean, I know it's corporate rivalry, but when it comes to this sort of console wars kind of thing, it goes a bit over the top, though. It goes a bit beyond that, in my opinion. It's literally like it's a dick measuring contest almost. Like they're trying to, one up each other, and it's like just focus on your games. Don't focus on what the other person is doing. Just focus all your efforts on your stuff, and that's it. If the consumer likes your stuff, they will buy it no matter what.
Well, think about because Nintendo's always been the dark horse. you know.
And the Switch
kind
is
of been the
awesome.
underdog, if
The
you ask
Switch is
me,
awesome.
actually.
The Switch
Yeah.
is amazing. I'm just saying that right now.
But that's just it, because they're not focused on the big, one-upping between, Sony and Xbox. They're turning around
They're just
and
doing their
they're
own
coming
thing,
up with
yeah.
yeah, they're doing their own innovative shit. When the Wii came out, it blew everybody's minds.
They were sold
because
out for
they weren't
Wii's
caught up in that
days.
shit. Yeah.
And one of the reasons why the Wii sold so much, and this is another thing that I give Nintendo a lot of props for. The reason why the Wii sold so much, I cringe every time I say that name, by the way. Every time, one of the reasons why that sold so well was because of the price tag. You had the PlayStation 3, which, what was that, like $299.99? It was like $300. The Xbox 360, I think, was actually more expensive. And then you got Nintendo, and they're like, the family-friendly option, and they're cheap. So, And Nintendo has always been that way. They've always had cheaper options compared to Sony and Microsoft.
Well,
now, you could argue that, the Xboxes and the PlayStations are more powerful than Nintendo consoles, which is true. But when it comes down to the price tag, most people that have kids, whatever, that want a family-friendly console, but they also have a decent selection of adult games as well, they're going to go with Nintendo because it's the cheapest option and it runs good enough for what they want it for.
Yep.
That's exactly it. I remember when, the original Nintendo came out, and it blew everybody's minds because of the fact that it fit exactly what you're saying. It was cheap, but it had games out there that people were like, dude, that's super cool, And then as, the different generations have come out with, with the GameCube and 64.
Which is awesome. Just saying.
Well, yeah.
The GameCube is so underrated. I've heard so many people talk shit about the GameCube. Even today, people talk shit about that system. They're like, oh, well, they have no mature games on that system. It's like, are you kidding? How many countless Resident Evil games do they have on the GameCube? And in my opinion, Resident Evil games run so good on the GameCube. I would play a Resident Evil game on the GameCube long before I would play it on PlayStation or Xbox. Well, they have they have a very large library of mature games for the GameCube. And the GameCube at the time, the design was really innovative. I love the handle that they have on it because it made it really portable. That's the only console I know of that is portable like that. I loved how small it was. It was really compact. The only reason why it really didn't, one of the only reasons why it didn't really make it, was a big success was because of the UMD discs that they used. It was more expensive for, developers to make games in that format. It prevented like piracy and stuff, but it was more expensive for developers to make games in that format compared to their competitors at the time.
On that same note, though, the Switch cartridges cost $10 more than any other game. So if you buy a game on, say you buy like a PS4 game or a game that's on multi-platform, it will cost $10 more on the Switch for the cartridge only, which sucks. But I think the Switch is pretty good. I've been playing the hell out of it. I can't deny it.
And see, this is just a theory of mine, which obviously there's no way to know if it was really true or not.
Just a game
but the GameCube controller was actually really good. The GameCube controller was really good. I loved the GameCube controller, and in my own personal opinion, I feel like Xbox took inspiration from the GameCube controller as far as the layout is concerned.
I think you're right. I think, the other thing that I think Nintendo's got going for it game-wise is that they always have, like, these really obscure titles that, like, they never hit mainstream or anything, but if somebody takes a chance on them, they end up being, like, mind-blowing games.
Say Splatoon is one of those. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that is so cool. There was a game for the original Game Boy that I grew up playing called Great Greed. It was like kind of sort of maybe Final Fantasy inspired, but not quite. And it was super cool. And it was like, God, this is at the time where a brand new disc would have cost you $15. And it was like a little $10 game, but it was wild. Again, back in the Stone Age. But it was true. It was super cool. So
right.
I don't know. See, and that's one of the things that I do appreciate about Nintendo is that they don't. I mean, they have their big hits, they have their Zeldas, they have their Mario's and their Mario parties, and everything else. But then there's this secondary market that's like, more involved as far as like developers that actually seem to give a shit.
Yeah.
Because they're making games that are actually cool, and they're not really focusing so much about the almighty buck
Okay.
at the end of the day.
One thing that you really have to give props for Nintendo for as well is that they're not concerned with pop culture and shit. They
Right.
make their games, they make the games the way they want them to be. They make their characters look the way they want them to look. They don't try to, like for example, For Honor, which is a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
However, one of the thing that I've had an issue with For Honor
Mm-hmm.
is that you've got the knights, the samurais, all that, the Vikings, but they're sort of like the pop culture image of what people would like or perceive them to look like. It's more like their pop culture
but
image.
there's a flip side too.
And
go ahead.
and I was gonna say, and Nintendo is one of the only companies that does not do that. They don't give a shit about pop culture. They do what they like, what they want to do. They if they like the way that something looks, they'll run with it. They don't care about what other people are gonna perceive it to look like.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
that is very true.
As far as like Splatoon, that game is one of my favorite games ever, and it was unique. No other game was like it. I mean, I thought it was pretty badass, if you ask me.
And it's probably going to sound ironic because I love multiplayer first-person shooters. I play them a lot, but one of the interesting things about Nintendo is Nintendo has never really went into that market. I mean, even though it's a big market, they've just made they've made great games. They kind of prove that you don't have to have blood and guts and you shooting back and forth in order to make a game, a great game. And I mean, obviously they have, like I said, they have their mature games, but as far as their exclusives are concerned, they have never went into that market.
No, they're super family friendly.
Which sometimes to me,
which makes them an ideal choice, not only because they're cheap, but also an ideal choice for people that have children or whatever that are going to actually be playing the system more than them.
And I gotta say, this year's Zelda, it's more adult themed, I think, because what kid's gonna sit there and just walk around and do nothing? I would. I'd be bored off my fucking ass.
It's geared toward the crazy folk like us, or at least like me. I don't know how you guys play, but it's like Skyrim, okay, cool, or Elder Scrolls, oh my god, or whatever. I love games where you're just grinding and walking around and leveling up.
I've been playing Zelda for the last 2 weeks.
I'm kind of the same way. I loved Skyrim. I love Skyrim. I have the Legendary Edition with all the DLC. I love RPGs because of the exploration in them. Mm-hmm. There's a deep story behind them. I love exploring new areas, meeting new characters in the game. And I like how you can actually get into that world and be someone different. That's why I like RPGs so much. And I'm one of those people that, a lot of people get bored by, having to walk from point A to point B. They get bored of it really quickly. Yeah, and I'm not one of those people. I would rather actually walk there myself so that I can actually explore all these different areas while I'm on my way there, because it's something that is intriguing to me. I like to pay attention to the attention to detail that the developers put into the game. How imagine how creative they got with each of these locations and each of these enemies. It's like I like to appreciate the work that they put into making the game as good as it is.
Well, and a lot of them, there's so many cool side quests that they do now that you're silly if you're fast traveling everywhere because you're missing out on lots of key content.
Well, on that side,
and there's sorry to interrupt. And there's things like, for example, with Mass Effect and Dragon Age, which are two of my favorite franchises in that genre. There's been times where I've actually played back through them multiple times. I played first because I usually play a female character in my RPGs.
Yeah, why not?
Just because who would you rather look at? Some fucking dude while you're playing the whole game, or, whatever. But and I usually do that. But I usually go back through it a second time as a male because it's interesting how different the NPCs react to you based on your gender of character, and that's another thing that a lot of people don't appreciate. That that's literally like remaking the campaign in a sense. You're kind of remaking the dialogue, based on which gender you're playing as.
Exactly. Well, and that's one of the things with For Honor that I dig. You know, as a chick gamer, it's really, really frustrating when 99% of the games I play have just male characters, and there's an entire female-only cast in For Honor. Plus, you know, the other characters you can choose. You know, so they're really starting to recognize that there's girl gamers out there that are sick of playing dudes all the time. It's kind of fun. I mean, when you know, the whole Lara Croft thing started, and you finally had a chick lead, and it was like, holy crap, and it was a big deal.
Though.
But then she was nothing but TNA, and that was.
See, this is an interesting topic, actually, because I've seen so many feminists on YouTube that, you know, they kind of bitch about, you know, they say women are sexualized. If anything, the men actually are sexualized quite a bit too. I mean, for God's sake, look at you know, Gears of War.
Or if you want,
you know, and it's,
I completely agree.
And it's not even like it. You know, it's not even really that they're sexualized. You know, with game developers are actually seeking out female, you know, help on certain games so that they can actually get, you know, like you know, say for example, you know, a scenario happens in a game. They can get the female's perspective as to how they would react to something like that. Because a lot of times, you know, men, you know, obviously we are not going to see the same, you know, we're not going to react to something the same way a female would. So game developers now actually actively seek out, you know, female support, you know, on certain games. And I think that's awesome. One of the issues with the, you know, the way that things are now, though, with gaming, it's awesome that gaming has, you know, grown to what it is now. But it's also kind of a sad in a way too, because now so many people have short attention spans that they don't appreciate, you know, the effort that goes into some of these games. They just want to put in the game, start shooting people, that's it. They don't appreciate, you know, the different, you know, the creativity or, you know, all these different things that go into making a great game. They don't pay attention to that. They're just like, oh, I just want to go around and shoot people. You know, they don't appreciate all these different things. They don't appreciate how much the gaming industry has evolved or anything like that really that much anymore.
That's because there's so many, you know, and this is going to be a dig on age the opposite way. You know, I'm old enough that I remember, you know, ColecoVision, and, you know, you guys have no clue. And then there's kids that are, you know, 12 and 13 years old, and they've grown up on, you know, actual PlayStations, and we're talking like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. And it's, you know, they have no appreciation for any of the old consoles or where the industry came from. You know, the fact that it was started out, you know, in someone's garage, and it was like nothing. And Pong, I mean,
Pong was fun. I still love Pong.
I mean, for the most part, you know, when a new game came out, you know, back then, you know, people reacted the same way they do now for the most part. The problem is we've just kind of become spoiled to this point, to the point where,
because they turn around so quick.
For example, with Mass Effect Andromeda, which I've been playing a lot of, I think it's really great. I'm not saying, you know, it's flawless. I'm not saying it's without its bugs, because it is, but it just got released, though. But I've seen so many people that have literally been, you know, tearing that game apart. It's like the game just came out not even that long ago. I mean, you have to give it time. My point is, we've become spoiled. When we expect a new game, so many people expect it to be
flawless.
They expect it to be flawless, and then when it comes out and it has a couple minor bugs or whatever, you know, amount it is, or however large they are, they bitch about it. And they bitch about the most minute things that don't even really affect the game as a whole. It's just something that might happen, you know, occasionally, but it's not really game breaking. It's just something that happens every once in a while. And we've gotten spoiled to the point where, you know, we don't appreciate a great game. We just see the negative stuff in it. We don't see, you know, all the effort that went into making it. And I've been playing Mass Effect Andromeda. I've been loving it. And I've been seeing so many people say that they ruined the franchise. I don't get how they figure that. And the problem with it is it was so hyped to the point where people were expecting a masterpiece. And it's like, you know, you gotta set your expectations to a reasonable, you know, level.
I mean, that just smacks in the face of the whole No Man's Sky thing.
Oh my God!
The hype outdid the game.
That is ridiculous.
And there was such a big hate train with that game, and it's like, I've seen gameplay for it, and I'm like, you know, it looks really good. I mean, it looks better than you know what, you know, obviously it's not what they, you know, put it out to be, but it looks, you know, really good. I mean, for the most part, everything that was going to be in the game is pretty much there for the most part. It's just not to the level that people were expecting.
No,
And I'm
and
like,
now
you have to have realistic expectations here. I mean, you can't expect this game to be the way that it was being put out to be. I mean, you have to think realistically here. I mean, you can't expect things that just aren't possible.
Well, and so many people, the problem with No Man's Sky, you know, at least in my opinion, was that when it was just Hello Games and they were working on it, they had a vision, and then Sony got involved.
Sony ruined it. I think they rushed them
Yeah.
real bad.
Yeah,
Right.
it went from this is going to be a hella awesome small developer game to this monster that they couldn't really keep up with. The new DLC for it and everything, or not the DLC, the updates that they've done to it have been helpful. They've really expanded on what like the core original concept was when it first came out. But like, you know, I got to tell, you know, from my personal opinion, now I haven't played it in a while. You know, I put in probably 40 or 50 hours just kind of grinding around and checking everything out. It's fun. But after your 10th or 11th planet, you're like, okay, I've seen that already.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, on the PC version, the frame rate was shit. Like,
was it?
I made a video on it, and I recorded it as it was. I got 3 FPS on one planet. I couldn't even walk around. I had to stop the recording. I mean, it was like a turtle crawl. It was fucking ridiculous.
Now, see, I don't know if either of you are familiar with Peter Molyneux. He was in charge of Lionhead Studios. They made the Fable games. Before that, it was Bullfrog. Now, this guy was absolutely crucified. People called him a compulsive liar and all these different shit. Me, personally, I don't really think of him that way. I think of him as a developer who was passionate about making games, but his flaw was that he was trying to make the game more than it could. He was trying to do things with the games that just wasn't possible at the time. Fable 1, for example, when that came out on the original Xbox, I mean, you're talking about early 2000s on the original Xbox. This game was amazing.
I love Fable.
This game, considering the time it was released, was fucking amazing. And Fable 2, in my opinion, I thought Fable 2 was actually the best out of all three. Fable 3 kind of sucked. Fable 2 was really, really great. Fable 1 still has its charm. But I think the reason why so many people kind of, you know, they literally crucified him. You know, they called him a compulsive liar and all this shit. And I'm like, I don't really think of him that way. I think of him as someone who was passionate about what he was doing. He just wanted to try and do things that just wasn't possible at the time. And when he said, you know, when he spoke out of turn, when he kind of lied about the things, I don't really see it as him intentionally lying on purpose. I see it as him just kind of getting so excited about what he's trying to do that he just speaks out of turn or says things that haven't actually happened yet or can't happen, you know, stuff like that. And that's how I see him. I see him as someone who, in my opinion, I think he could have been the Steve Jobs of the gaming industry if things weren't, you know, didn't happen the way that they did. Because I mean, look at what he did with Fable 1, and that was on the original Xbox. Imagine what he could do now with the things that we have now. I mean, the things that he actually wanted to do in Fable 1 could actually potentially be possible now. So I see him as a pioneer,
a visionary.
And he was. And so many people, another thing with things like this too is when one person bitches about something, everyone else has to join too. Like they have to join on that on that hate wagon. And I think with Peter Molyneux is, you know, he lied a lot, but I don't really see it as lying. I just saw it as, you know, him being so excited about what he was doing that he just spoke out of turn. And you know, when one person started, you know, attacking him, everyone else had to join too. And now he's just kind of drifted off into, you know, the irrelevant industry of mobile games. I mean, he makes mobile games as far as I know now. He just does. He did Goddess,
didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
What was it?
It's a game called Goddess.
It's literally where you play as a god of your own world. Like you control everything in that world.
It's actually a cool mobile game. I really dug it. But that's
And
what I'm
again, it
saying.
was
Not
another
that
game that
informative.
a lot of people attacked, and you know, for the same reason, you know. At
Mhm.
that point, people had already hated him, so they're automatically going to hate any game that he makes just because they hate him, and
Well,
it
sure,
was just ridiculous. And I remember they
sure.
did what was it, Theme Hospital, and that was on the PC. That was also really good. They did a lot of
Actually,
sort
wasn't
of
bad.
sim style games.
That's pretty fun. I like it.
And it was, and they made a lot of really like sort of sim style games. And when they moved on to Lionhead, that's when they started getting into the limelight, and that's when he started getting a lot of the you know, hate that he got. And again, I
Right.
don't really think that the hate was warranted. I mean, you can't, the guy, you know, like you said, was a visionary. You can't
Hmm.
attack someone for having these dreams. If anything, I kind of think of him pretty highly, because I mean, at least this guy was passionate about what he was doing.
Well,
At
but here's
least
the
he
thing.
wanted, you know, to, at least he wanted to deliver to the consumer. Not very many developers can say the same. Most developers now, they just care about the money. This
Yep.
guy cared about actually delivering a truly great experience to the people that bought his game.
Exactly. But that's exactly what happened to Steve Jobs. I mean, he ended
Exactly.
up losing control of his own company, for God's sake.
Just for
So,
simply, you know, trying to accomplish the impossible.
exactly, exactly. And unfortunately, in the technology, vector, regardless if you're talking about video games or PCs or telephones or whatever, there's always going to be that whoever is going to be pushing the envelope is going to be crucified because they're daring to think differently. And
Right.
then once enough of the rest of the industry goes, well, dang, maybe it is possible, then all of a sudden they backtrack and go, oh, we were wrong, you
Well,
know.
Right. And see,
And
I don't know if you've
yeah.
ever seen, if either of you have ever seen the movie Jobs, which is the, you
Oh
know, the
yeah.
documentary of Steve Jobs.
not yet.
It's
Oh yeah.
it's a fucking fantastic movie. It's one of my favorite
It is.
movies. I would put it up
Mhm.
there, right up there with Scarface and shit. I love the movie. It's one of my favorites.
Mhm.
And that movie described everything that had happened to him precisely as it happened.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, big companies are not run by the person who came up with the idea. They're run by the board of
Oh no.
directors, and that's the
Yep.
sad truth. And that movie showed that sad truth for what it is. And unfortunately, that is actually how things are. Even
Oh
though
yeah.
you made the company from the ground up, if you're not doing what you're the board of trustees or whatever, whatever, it is, thinks that you should be doing, or if you're investing more money than they think you should be investing, yada yada
You're out.
yada, yeah, they will kick you out of your own project.
Which is stupid.
And
Yep.
it's sad in that movie to see how much he was crushed, how low
Oh yeah.
he had stooped down, because
Yeah.
he was literally kicked off of his own, something that he was so
His
passionate
baby.
about
Yeah.
was literally taken, out from under him by a bunch of, fucking, rich, people that only care about money.
Yep.
That's total
And
bullshit.
that's the
And it was also a
technology
lot of
vector
stress
though
on
too.
him, and it was a lot of pressure on him as well, because they kept pushing the envelope. They're like, when is
Yeah.
this going to be released? When is this going to be released? We want to make the money off of it. It needs to be released in, X amount of time. And it's like that the amount of time that a lot of times that they give you to release something is just
Uh-huh.
not possible. And you have that ends up having a lot of flawed projects, a lot of flawed
Exactly.
products, because they were forced to release something that wasn't ready to be released yet. And it's the
Which
same thing with a lot of developers with games,
uh-huh.
is that their publishers, for example, EA is one of the worst in this case.
Or
Yep.
Activision.
They push you and push you and push you to release a certain game every year, or release
Mhm.
something, that isn't ready to be released. And what ends up happening is the developers that make the game, they either don't have enough time, or they eventually just run out of ideas.
Or
So they're like, you know what, we don't really have any more ideas to put into this new game. We just know that it has to be a game, that it has to be out there.
Right.
Like for Assassin's Creed, for example, they were
Yep.
pushed to release a new Assassin's Creed every year, and eventually they just started running out of ideas, and they just started throwing random stuff in because they didn't know what else to do. They just knew that EA wanted them to release a game,
Right.
and it had to be
Because they
Assassin's
had to
Creed.
ride the hype.
who's worse though, Activision or EA? Who's worse?
Ooh.
And actually,
That's tough.
because Activision with
Currently,
with
in
the,
my opinion, it's EA, but back in the day, it was completely Activision.
now because
Right.
with the Resident 2 coming out here soon, which I think that game's going to bomb. I'm not buying that piece of shit. The first one sucked balls. I just want to say
Well,
that.
see, talking about Activision, see, I used to be one of those people that I played Call of Duty a lot. I used to be a fucking savage at that game. I was top 3 players every game I ever played on that. But then I discovered Titanfall and, other, first-person shooters, like, for example, Overwatch is another one. And I'm like, fucking Call of Duty sucks.
Overwatch,
I mean, it really, really sucks.
Yeah.
And considering, that, it's by
Same game
Activision, I've
hashed
seen...
over.
And I've seen things, on Facebook where apparently they're thinking about going back. At this point, I'm like, yeah, but you kind of already screwed your pooch on that, man. I mean, the moment you started going futuristic is the moment that you screwed yourself.
Yep.
It's too late now to go back to your roots. You should have done that after the first fucking, what was the first one where they even started doing that? I think it was Advanced Warfare.
Oh yeah.
Or when they started going like the futuristic.
Oh yeah.
After they should have, after that happened and they got the backlash that they got from it, that's when they should have said, okay, that's not a good idea. Let's go back to the way it was. Now, one thing I will say that is if they do remaster Modern Warfare 2, I will buy that because Modern Warfare 2 was the first game that ever really got me into playing multiplayer online, as far as shooters are concerned. So I will buy that. However, like I said, it still doesn't change the fact that if they do go back to World War 2, I am not buying that at all. I have not bought Infinite Warfare or,
I refuse it.
I'm never going to buy COD again unless they remaster MW2, and that will be the only one. Just because Activision has pushed a new Call of Duty game out so much that I genuinely kind of feel like maybe they just started running out of ideas, and they started making it, futuristic, and it's like when they added, exosuits and all that shit, it was like, dude, this is basically fucking Halo for the most part. I mean, they might as well just throw in fucking power-ups and shit, and there you go. You've got Halo, but it's just different. It's just in a different, skin.
Well, speaking of Halo, though, the whole split screen thing, that was a big thing as well. How they get rid of split screen because they thought they couldn't put it into the game. No, that was that was a bad mistake. Very bad.
Well, and when you're talking about shooters, this puts me back at like PlayStation 2, but the Medal of Honor games, they did the same thing.
Right.
It's like that's probably one of the reasons why I'm not into shooters either. Is that you can only cover so many aspects of a given world war before
you start to run out of ideas. Yeah. And one issue I have with first-person shooters online in general is this was a big thing in MW2 because this was when it first started becoming popular. People run around and they try to trick shot or they try to quick scope or they teabag and all this other ridiculous shit. I remember, and you have this issue in Titanfall, and I remember on Black Ops 3, which was the last Call of Duty I played. I used to play rank play, which is it's competitive, and I don't mind playing competitively because I'm good at the game. But one of the issues I had with that was people that I would play with, like they would run around and try to quickscope or they would try to teabag, and it's like, dude, stop doing all this fancy shit. Play the game. This guy was teabagging like the guy, and there's no respawns. And if you lose the game, you will lose your rank. Hence rank play. So it was really irritating because you actually did lose something if you lost. And this guy, that was on my team, he was teabagging the guy. And I'm like, dude, stop playing around, stop teabagging him, because while you're doing that, somebody's going to come up to you and catch you off guard, and they're going to kill you.
Pretty much.
I was like, stop doing this stupid childish shit. Stop trying to quickscope. Stop trying to fucking teabag people. Just play the game. And, it's ridiculous. That was one of the biggest turnoffs for me with, for example, Call of Duty, is that people were so focused on quickscoping or all this other shit. And it's like, dude, you're literally like allowing your team to lose because you're so focused on, doing some stupid fancy shit, at the final kill cam. It's like, why do you even care? And I've seen so many people in first-person shooters that talk so much shit to someone on the other team because they're doing bad. It's like, why does it matter, dude? I'm good at the game, but I don't sit there and, tell someone they suck at the game or something. If anything, I'll actually give them advice on how they could actually improve. And if they, take that advice, that's good. If they don't, whatever, I'm not one of those people that will talk shit to someone on the other team because they're playing bad. It's like, dude, it's just a game. Like, I can understand if you're losing, like in rank play, obviously you don't like losing your rank, but even that still isn't really worth going into game chat and cussing someone.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Which is my pet peeve. Not that I don't have a mouth like a sailor. I mean,
No,
Christ, but
no.
me never. You know, but it's dating myself. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, when you know, playing online and everything was first kind of getting big, you know, and just the idea that you were able to, you know, play and actually talk with your friends online, and what a big deal it was, and how cool it was. And then it went from being like, wow, this is awesome, to nothing but like derogatory comments and
drama,
you know, racist bullshit, and it's like, you know,
it's people just started taking advantage of that anonymity.
yeah,
You know,
right.
they
And
knew
that's
that
one of
the other person on the other end of the mic couldn't do anything to them, so they would just
right.
start saying whatever they want to them.
Yep.
And it's gotten to a point now where it's gotten to be ridiculous.
Well, that's why
There's
I
a
like For Honor,
very
because you're only able to talk with your, you know, your actual party there, and it's not even like, you know, you've got 4 guys on a team and you all can talk. Unless you've got your shit plugged in, you just play silent. It's great. I don't have to put up with, you know, because when I do attempt, and it's really just a bad, sad attempt, to play shooter games, I literally will not mic in because I get so annoyed, because as soon as, I don't know, it's probably getting better. You know, I mean, I'm thinking back to, you know, early COD. It was like, dude, it's a chick, and the mouths and the language and the, I
right.
mean,
This is
I
an
am
issue
not
I
shy
can.
about that shit, and I was like, holy fuck, what did he just say?
Yeah, a lot.
This is an issue that I can relate to because Pink Sniper, whom you guys I'm pretty sure have met, I do a lot of streams and videos with her. You know, we
Mhm.
talk almost every day on PlayStation. We play a lot, and with her being a chick, people would not believe what kind of messages she gets sent to her, what kind of pictures she gets sent to her,
Mhm.
what kind of shit that people say to her. And I'm like,
Mhm.
are you literally just targeting her because she's a female? Are
Oh,
you that,
totally.
you know, are you that desperate, or are you just that much of an
Totally.
asshole that you have to target someone because they're a female? I know this
It's
guy was freaking out because he's like, yo, like, it's a chick, and it's like, yeah, it's a chick playing a game. Like, I don't understand. I mean, I guess, you know,
and
that can
she
be
can
attractive
probably
to
kick
some
your ass,
degree,
so fuck you.
but well, that's like the chick I was, you know, that
Some
I'm
of them
talking about,
can.
Pink Sniper. You know, she's one of the only people that I've ever really played with that is about on equal footing as me when it comes to first-person shooters.
Yeah, so
I
some
mean, for
chicks are
God's sake, she
judgment.
platinum, you know, The Last of Us, which, yeah, that's not a first-person shooter, but that's a really tough game to platinum.
Tough game. Yeah.
And she platinumed that. And whenever we play Call of Duty, for example, me and her would always be first or second. I mean, she's one of the only people that I've ever really met that can actually face off on equal footing in that game against me or whatever. So when
Right.
people say shit, you know, about her being a chick, it's like, because I remember we joined a game one time, and you know, this guy was in the game chat, and you know, he was like, "Oh my God, we got a chick on your team. We're probably gonna lose." I'm like, "Are you serious? You're judging her before the game has even started. What is it?" It's like back a while ago, you know, when online gaming was a thing. I mean, you
Mhm.
could argue that females weren't as good at the game as, you know, their male
Well, no,
counterparts, but
because
that's not an
girls didn't
issue
play as
anymore.
often. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, see, now that's not an issue anymore because
No,
gaming
it's
has
not.
become more mainstream.
Yeah,
There's a
it's
lot more females that
universal.
play games,
Yeah.
and you know, there's a lot of females out there that could fucking kick your ass in a game, especially when it comes to
Exactly.
first-person shooters. Because the
Yep.
only thing you really need to be good at first-person shooters is you just need to have quick reflexes, quick reaction
Or
time, and
luck.
that good aim.
Or luck.
So it's really not even that hard,
Or luck.
Yep.
you know. And
Yep.
you know, when the
Aim is my
game, you
problem.
know, he was saying shit, about it before the game ever even started, and it
Yep.
was funny, you know, because when the game actually started, me and her were up on the top too, and I
Uh-huh.
remember he was saying he was just saying a bunch of shit. He's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she actually did something."
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
You don't know how I'm friends with her, so you don't know how bad I wanted to go in the chat and just be like, dude, you're a fucking
Listen,
asshole.
Jack Card. Yeah.
It's like you're judging someone that you don't even know, that you've never played with, it's like, you're targeting her because she's a female, and it's like, obviously I'm friends with her, so I mean, it really kind of bothered me a little bit, because I'm like, dude, I've been friends with her, for a long fucking time. I mean, we've never met, in real life, yet, but it's still, when you've known someone on PlayStation or Xbox or whatever for as long, and it aggravated me, because I'm like, this dude is a fucking asshole. He's literally targeted you this entire game just because you're a female, and I don't understand it. Well, and it's sad, because when you see so many people that target the gaming industry because they say that we're sexist, or that we're fucking hate mongers, or all this, or that they make people violent. The reason why people that are on the outside looking in see things that way is because of people like him. It's because of people that do that shit. When they do that kind of shit, that's why people that are not into the gaming culture or anything like that, that's why they see us that way.
That's what they home in on is the little shit.
Right. And unfortunately, you could say, you shouldn't judge an entire, group of people based on the actions of a few. That is true, but unfortunately, that's not how things work.
Well, especially when the people that are like that are the loud motherfuckers, I mean, I have a completely gender neutral PSN handle because I don't want to put up with it. You know?
I don't blame you there.
And my chick friends that play have done the same thing because they don't want, to put up with it.
Right.
It's frustrating,
Now,
and
see,
since I've been good.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, now, see, I have, because I'm friends with, anybody on PlayStation. If I like hanging out with you, if you're not an asshole, and if you don't talk shit to people, you're pretty chill, dude. I'll hang out with you. I mean, obviously talk shit if you're just joking, but I mean, like, if you actually, like, don't physically go into game chat and talk shit is what I'm talking about. But,
don't be an asshole.
And so I'm friends with anybody that's pretty chill like that. I have no mind, no problem hanging out with them and shit. But I have a few, females on my friends list on PlayStation that we talk almost every day. We play a lot. And one of the biggest issues, which unfortunately I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but it's kind of true, they have pictures of themselves as their profile pictures, and
you don't do that.
Quite a few of them that I know are, they're fairly attractive. I mean, they're pretty decent. And when they have profile pictures of themselves, especially when you look attractive, that's going to generate a lot of shit. I mean, I've talked to this friend of mine, and she said she literally got sent videos of people like jerking off and shit, and it's like,
oh god,
and it's like,
Why?
I know,
that makes no sense.
And it's like, it's I'm a guy, and I even think that's fucking perverted. And I heard it, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't say this, but maybe you just shouldn't have a profile picture of yourself on there, because that's going to generate a lot more than it would if you didn't. And unfortunately, again, it's harsh to say, and I wish I wouldn't have to say it, but it's also worse if you're attractive.
Oh, I mean, it's completely true.
And again, it's harsh, and I wish that it wasn't that way. I wish people didn't judge
think
people
about how it wasn't
by their looks.
It's the same way. There's that
stigma.
That whole stigma that goes along with being, one of those people, one of the upper echelon or whatever it was, and
fun game.
That's how it always is. I mean, I think. I don't know. I think anytime that you're putting your own picture on your profile, the players that I know who are just automatically sharing their real names, I'm going, there are like psycho motherfuckers out there, and
right.
Yeah,
that there's a reason you have a handle versus putting your real name out there.
Right.
So I don't. Yeah, it's just the whole.
That's sort of the flip side of anonymity,
Yeah.
And I like I said, I wish this wasn't true, but unfortunately, there are a lot of people that will judge someone completely based on nothing but how they dress, how they look, if they're attractive to them. And attractive is something that's so subjective, because someone might think is attractive, another person might think is completely fucking unattractive. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people that will base someone completely on something so subjective as things like that. And you know, and when women, a lot of females, and it's not even really always females that get this kind of thing either. A lot of males get a lot of this kind of stuff as well, unwanted, you know, attention that is going somewhere that they don't want it to go. And a lot of women that are particularly attractive. Again, it's subjective, but you know, for the most part, the ones that are more attractive are going to get a lot more things, you know, than the ones that most people think are unattractive. Unfortunately, that describes nothing about a person, but unfortunately, there are a lot of people that think otherwise, and will send them a lot of things that are not wanted at all. And you know, they'll do it specifically because of that. I've known, you know, chicks that own their entire Facebook profiles, or well, not taking them down, but taking all the pictures of themselves off their profile picture because they were actually so afraid that some, you know, fucking pervert somewhere was like jacking off or something to their profile, you know, their profile picture or whatever. And it's unfortunate, you know, that they can't even have, you know, pictures of themselves on Facebook, because there are so many people that will judge them completely based on their appearance. And especially when it comes to women, this is another reason why attractiveness is so subjective. Because with women, some women can wear makeup and look like a completely different person.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's real. That's one reason why, you know, appearance is so subjective. Same thing with males, which males obviously don't wear makeup, but you have a lot of males that when they have a haircut and they're shaved, they look like a whole different person than they do when, you know, before. Like, for example, you know, you can go, you know, on our YouTube videos, me and Kyle's, and, you know, I usually, every time I go up to his trip, because anytime I'm going to like a convention or something, you know, I shave, and I usually have this sort of like chin strap that I usually have facial hair. It's not very thick or anything. And, you know, I look like a completely different person because I don't have my full-on beard or anything like that. And, you know, it's the same thing with males.
Scruffy looking nerf herder.
Exactly. You know, I don't look like a fucking neckbeard, but, you know, it's and that's why I said it's attractiveness is so subjective, because you know, you don't know anything about that person. You don't know what they really look like. You're only seeing what they want you to see, you know. And again, it's a
snapshot.
It's a snapshot into someone's life.
It's like my all my icons. Literally right now, like I'm using Diva as my icon. I'm not a chick, but it's cool. I don't give a fuck. But normally I use stuff that's not even close to me. That way I don't have no one fucking with me, except for you, of course.
I was gonna say it's Vic. He's gonna give you a hard time no matter what.
Always does. But got about 3 more minutes, then we're gonna end this here because it's going for almost an hour, and we don't need an hour and a half long video. So.
Well, see, I don't mind doing these podcasts because, you know, there's a lot of things that can be talked about, and you know,
you're definitely a talker. You know, that's why I'm mad about that.
And I mean, I'm the type of person that I don't make YouTube videos because I want views. I mean, obviously the views is a bonus, but I make them because I enjoy making them. So even something like this, you know, even if we didn't get views on it, I would still be perfectly fine with doing more of them because
I don't care.
I'm not. I mean, obviously the views is what you shoot for, but it's not. It shouldn't be the only reason, you know, why you do it. And I've seen a lot of people, you know, that have. Because for a lot of people that aren't into YouTube, it's easy for them to underestimate how difficult YouTube is. And I've seen a lot of people that have watched other people's YouTube channels, and they've said, oh, wow, this dude has like X amount of subs, you know, and he's only getting X amount of views. And it's like, yeah, but you're not a YouTuber, so you're not going to understand that that's actually good. Every YouTuber is going to have more subs than views. Like, for example, I get, you know, roughly 20, 30, 40, 50 views on average, and I have like 465 subscribers. So to some people that might look horrible, but to people who do YouTube, they're going to see that that's actually really great, you know. And I've only been doing it for a little over 4 years. So, and I don't have anything like, for example, like Kyle, you know, he has a lot more than I do. I don't have, you know, a green screen or, you know, even a proper mic. I just use the headset that I've been using now. And, you know, for me, that's a big achievement. I still think my videos suck. But again, that's not because of poor, you know, self-esteem when it comes to your videos.
I was gonna say, is it the videos that suck, or is it you that sucks, dude?
Well, hold on. See, is it suck? What's it sucking though? That's the real question.
But see, I think when it's not even like poor self-esteem. For example, when it comes to videos, I think that's part of knowing that you care about your videos or that you enjoy making videos. Because even if your videos are flawless, and you still see something wrong with them, I think that's one of the key elements of being, doing YouTube.
I mean,
is that you will always see something wrong with it. You will always see room for improvement. And that's, to me, is what makes a YouTuber.
Okay, there was one time I fully edited a video, an hour and a half, then I actually deleted it because it sucked.
And I've done the same thing. I had a video that had over 5,000 views. It was my most viewed video on my entire channel. But it was a video that I did years ago when I first started, and it sucked. It was really horrible, and I didn't like the idea that the only traffic I was getting on my channel was on that video. And I felt like that video...
Sounds like my problem.
I felt like that video was defining my entire channel, and I didn't like the idea. And I had said something to somebody about it, and he was like, "Why would you delete that with that many views?" And I was like, "Well, because I didn't want people to see that the first thing they come by my channel."
Right, and that's what they're judging the rest of the channel on.
Exactly.
It's like on mine. I have the my two Xbox videos. They have like 75,000 views. That's all they watch.
Right.
They don't watch something else. They don't watch shows. That's my problem.
And again, that's just, for me, that's more proof that as a YouTuber that is actually trying to succeed, that views don't matter. If you're a YouTuber that's actually trying to succeed, that's actually trying to make a good channel, and maybe even potentially, it's very highly unlikely, but let's say for the sake of the argument, make a living out of it. You're not going to see the views, you're going to see the video. You're going to look past the views, you're going to see the video. And to me, that is what makes a YouTuber, and that's more proof that you're actually trying to succeed at YouTube and that you're not actually doing it just because you want views.
Right.
Yep, pretty much. Well, we're going to end this one here because it's been an hour and almost 5 minutes, and I have to run this damn thing, so that's about 4 hours of rendering. So, if you did enjoy and want to see another one, do like it down below as always. And of course, go sub to Victory Gamer Network, because he likes to suck dick and has a small penis. But whatever works for you. I mean, if you like that kind of stuff, feel free to. But anyways, thanks for watching.
Just don't go over to his house. You'll have to sleep with one eye open. He'll try to butt fuck
God. We will see you guys in the next one. Oh my God, we're in this right now. Fuck my life.